This is the third time recording this because I think I'm trying to give you too much information at once. So let's talk about what's going on with our potential snow on Monday, well, Sunday into Monday. At one point, that was going to be Saturday into Sunday, and the speed of the system did help us and hurt us at the same time. The speed helped us because there was cold air in place, so if any storminess came around, the cold air would cause it to snow. And it was enough cold air to give us a good amount of snow if it was to come that way. Originally, this storm looked like it was going to come in early enough on Saturday that that cold that was in place was going to become a blocker and not allow this storm to go northward. And so that was problematic. That was linked to a low pressure system that was off the East Coast that was big, that was supposed to bomb out, that the American model was showing, as well as the European to an extent. And that was going to block the cold air in place and leave it here. And to an extent, it was over-blocking and keeping the snowstorm way to our south. And that's why North Carolina, Southern Virginia looked like it was a big snow. What's happened is that low is, one, not stronger as it should or could have been. And two, the low pressure system that's coming in is a little slower than what it was originally forecast. It's now not coming until Sunday into Monday. So what that's going to allow is that the high pressure that's bringing out of our cold is going to start to slip out some. How far does it move out is a good question. European is slower on that leave of the colder air than the American model, which is now showing it moving out quicker. That high pressure to the north is very, very important because it blocks the cold air in place and allows us to be snow. It gives us a nice column of cold air. But if that high pressure system is not blocked or slowed in any way, it just moves out of the way to allow the other low pressure system to come in. And so what we're seeing on the models, the American models, and what you're kind of hearing from the Canadian model as well, is that the high pressure system is moving out too quickly. And ironically, we even have a little bit of another low pressure system up in Canada that's actually kind of drawing on the current low pressure system that looks like it's going to form. That's going to ultimately cause us the wintry weather. So it's pulling it further west. Why is that a problem? Well, when you have storm systems that come too close to us, here we are up in Loudoun, in case you're wondering where we were. But if you have a storm system that comes up too close to us, then warm air is going to get into your area, and you're going to switch over to some type of rain, some type of stuff. This doesn't look good as far as a graphic, so let's redraw that. But basically, you get a low pressure system, and you get warm air coming in, and it's going to bring warm air aloft and switch us over at least to sleet. And if it gets warm enough, it'll turn it over to rain. That depends on how strong the low pressure system is. If the low is further east, like what you're seeing both in the Canadian and I'll even say the American ensemble runs, which I'll explain ensembles in a minute, the Europeans bringing things out, further east and south. So with that, there's a much better chance of a good snowstorm in our area. As of now, though, what I'm seeing is that there is some trending on the European moving west. And the GFS hadn't been so good on our last storm, especially with about it moving north and west, I wouldn't be as worried. But since it was so good, we got to give credit to the American model with the ability for recognizing the further north and west move of the low pressure system. So right now, if you were to think about it again, oh boy, I think I messed up our view here of the storm. But if you were to think about the low, from American and the Canadian model, the low pressure system's coming up almost right over top of us. This is going to bring us first snow and then a mixture maybe on the backside. Because as the storm starts to move out of the way, there's this snow on the backside that could move through and actually drop a lot of snow. So I have to see if that actually forms. But right now, it's really cutting down on the amount of snow that we see. 3 to 5 inches seems like a pretty good bet, but that's based on the models today, and it could get worse or better. It's hard to say. So the other thing that could happen is that these things are way too far west, and they start to move further east. The further east, the better chance we stay more snow, and we obviously see more precipitation. The other possibility is that we're not done with this low pressure system moving west, and even the places that look like they're going to get snow now, this keeps getting pushed out further to the west. So there are so many variables in play. How fast the high pressure system moves out to the northeast that's bringing us the cold air. whether or not this low up in Canada pulls stronger to make the low pressure system go further west, whether or not we actually get a strong storm versus a weaker storm. A weaker storm is not as likely to bring in as much cold air, so you get more snow, but maybe not as much as you would hope at one point. So all those factors and the upper level energy as it moves through in the end, bringing that back end kind of snow that you get at the end of the storms that can also be very, very heavy. It's called the comma head because it's bringing in precipitation in all the way around the low pressure system, all the way to the back side, all the way around. And does that, set up over our area or not? It's hard to say. So all these things are at play, and even the upper level low. So there's an upper level support system of the low that can also move through and bring the snow like it did in previous storms, like 2014, if you guys remember. So while a lot to talk about, a lot of variables on play, do I think this is figured out? No. My hope is that it gets better than worse. My hope is that the westward trend of the low pressure system stops. If that does and it starts to move east at all, I'll start to get a little more encouraged. We're going to see a better chance of snow, or at least more snow. In general, I think we have a very high chance of snow. I just know it's going to mix at some point, and what it mixes with, whether it's sleet or all the way to rain, is a good question. How long that happens, where things ultimately end up, it's way too hard to tell at this point. So anyway, that was it. That was my storm overview. Hopefully it was helpful.